Welcome to Deep Thought of the Day by BZB's Honey. Before we jump into this conversation in progress, I just wanted to bring about a bit of context as to what you are about to listen to. As part of our journey to embrace AI, we decided to record small windows of conversation that one of our founders had with AI. These conversations are typically about life, philosophy, and its potential meaning and purpose. We thought you'd find them interesting and decided to publish them. So, without further delay, let's jump into one of these conversations, as it has already begun.
Let's start off by exploring Conversations with God. Book 1 by Neale Walsch. A book that's not just a conversation, but a complete reframing of how we understand life, God, and ourselves.
Okay, so then let's start the first thought, the first deep one, with this. Nothing happens by accident. That's straight from the early pages of the book, and honestly, it shook me the first time I read it. Because if nothing is a coincidence, that means every single thing has meaning.
Exactly. And Walsh doesn't just say that to be poetic. He presents this as a universal truth, that life is not a series of random events, but rather a co-creation between us and what he calls God, which he defines very differently than traditional religions do.
That's worth pausing on. In this book, God isn't some judgmental figure in the sky, but more like an energy of pure love, a source, a presence we're always connected to.
And more than that, he says we are part of God, that God expresses itself through us, through our thoughts, our desires, our questions, and even our mistakes. So when we say nothing happens by accident, we're not just saying that the universe has a plan for us, but that we are actually helping to shape that plan moment to moment.
It's co-authored. Like God's not out there moving chess pieces. We're in constant dialogue with that divine energy, even if we don't realize it. That's part of what Book 1 really emphasizes. You're always in conversation with God. The question is, are you listening?
That's such a great point. Because how often do we treat life like it's happening to us instead of with us? We get stuck in traffic, or someone ghosts us, or a job falls through. And our reaction is, why me? But what if we saw those moments as intentional intersections in our story?
Exactly. Not as punishments, not as random bad luck, but as part of a larger orchestration that's guiding us, sometimes toward what we asked for, sometimes away from what doesn't serve us. Even pain has purpose when seen through this lens.
Walsh even writes that there are no victims, only creators. That's a hard pill to swallow at first.
Oh yeah, especially if you've gone through real trauma. And let's be clear, I don't think he's dismissing that pain. What he's doing is offering an invitation to shift our identity from powerless to powerful, to see ourselves as authors of our experience, even the parts that don't feel good, so that we can reclaim agency.
He says something like, every act is an act of self-definition, which means even how we respond to life is a creative act. We're defining who we are with every choice we make.
So if you feel like life is just throwing random stuff at you, pause. Ask yourself, what am I being invited to remember about myself right now? Because the book teaches that life is a process of remembering who you really are, which, according to Walsh, is divine, eternal, and powerful beyond measure.
And full of love. That's the foundation. If nothing happens by accident, and everything comes from God, then everything, even the hard stuff, is sourced from love. Which is kind of radical.
Yeah, but it's also freeing, because suddenly you're not fighting reality anymore. You're dancing with it. You're working with it instead of against it.
I like to think of it like this. If life were a song, we're not just the listener. We're part of the melody. And we get to choose how we harmonize with what's already playing.
So today's deep thought, nothing happens by accident, is really an invitation to listen more closely, to be more present, To trust that there's meaning here, even if we can't see it yet.
And to remember that you're not alone. You're always in dialogue with something higher, something loving, something that wants to experience life through you.
Whew. Okay. That feels like a beautiful place to wrap up our first episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next time with another big idea from Conversations with God.
And if this sparked something in you, share it with someone you love. Or better yet, start a conversation about it. That's where the magic happens.
Until next time, stay curious.
And stay connected.
Thank you for taking the time to listen. For more episodes and guided meditations, please visit deepbearsleep.com.